Cooking Issues coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John across from me. How you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels. What's up?
Hey, how are you doing? Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for last week.
Yeah, I know we were going to do an L.A. version with, we're going to have Mike Capoferri again from Night on Earth to discuss our freaking, what's it called? The Booker and Dax one-night pop-up, Booker Dax Contra one-night pop-up. But whatever. We do not yet have Nastasia the Hammer Lopez or Quinn, but I think they're going to call in later. But we do, thankfully, on the West Coast, have our boy Jackie Molecules. How you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Feeling good.
You sound well. Are you playing the part?
I've been eating nothing but eggs all week.
Were you
all
listening
egg
in?
recipes, eggs every day.
Money bags, Jack.
Yeah, well,
money
this is my
bags.
life too, man.
Man, Jack's
miserable.
like, you know what? I never ate an egg in my life, but now that they're ridiculously expensive, only eggs. Only eggs. You're that person you're that person in 1890 throwing lobsters back into the ocean. What is this bug? What is this trash? This mud bug.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, as soon as they're expensive, you're like, I wanted that.
Yep.
That freaking ocean insect. That's for me. Anyway.
Egg white cocktails.
Oh, God.
Just yeah.
What do you do with the yolks?
Nothing without eggs.
Now that eggs are $1 billion, it used to be, right? It used to be that you'd be like, you know what? I'm going to make an angel food cake, and if I figure out what to do with these yolks, I figure out what to do with these yolks. And if I don't, I don't. You know what I mean? But hey, I'm going to use these yolks. I'm going to make a zabayon. If I have something to do with these whites, God bless. Otherwise, who cares? You know what I mean? That's just not the way it is anymore. You know?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Sell it on the secondary market.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have more on that. What cocktails are you making with egg whites?
Yeah, I don't actually make them.
No. But you're buying them out? You're like, you got an egg white cocktail? You charge more for it? You charge them more?
I'm kidding. No.
Hey, for those of you that make egg white cocktails, problem with egg white, first of all, there's the question of whether you shake before or after or both. A dry shake before. You have to do one or the other. You either dry shake beforehand or you shake it after you dilute it with ice. You shake it again to make it fluffy. You know this, right? Please tell me you know this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, which one do you prefer? So it is without question fluffier if you shake it afterwards. If you shake it first with ice or do whatever you're going to do and then shake it again afterwards or hit it with one of those Hamilton Beaches, it is without a question fluffier. Now, here's the real question. Does that mean you like it more or does that mean you like it less? Booze hounds often like it less because it's so airy that it dilutes the flavor of it because it turns it into much more of a foam. So you have to decide, it's between you and your taste buds, what you prefer. So as usual, there is no better, there is no worse, there is different, and you must understand the difference and make a choice. Right? All right.
Right.
Yeah. Now, back to eggs. You cannot buy an egg in Manhattan. So, at Trader Joe's is all about, just in time. So anytime there's a problem, they try to, they restock every day, and they sell out almost all their fresh stuff. They call short code. Remember from the Secret Life of Groceries guy that came in? They sell out almost every day. So they have not had eggs for weeks.
Jeez.
And then when they do, they get a couple in, and they have a big thing, one carton per customer. The Fine Fare across the street, which is our C-Town Key Foods equivalent, they're sold out. I go to Target. Target yet hasn't figured out how to do store-by-store price gouging. So they have the eggs. They got their egg shipment, and I walked in on a Sunday morning, and a lady was walking out with as many as she could carry in her shopping cart. I got in, there was 2 cartons left. At 8:30 in the morning, there was 2 cartons left because this lady had bought all of the eggs that my local crappy Target had. And I'm like, is there really that much of a secondary market in eggs right now that this lady is doubling her cash on eggs?
Well, now that the show's on, I can tell my story.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania last week, there was a truck heist of someone stealing a truckload of Pete and Jerry's eggs. I think they're worth $100,000, and they have no idea what happened to it or who took it or anything like that.
Egg rich.
Yeah.
Egg rich.
It's crazy.
Egg rich.
It's not just Manhattan, though. It's here, too. I mean, in L.A., I can't get eggs.
Really?
It's just crazy.
Now, here's the
Yeah.
question. Our company, so like, for those of you that don't know, I mean, there's a standard of identity. This is why you can't call Miracle Whip mayonnaise. And this is why you can't call things that don't have egg in it vegan mayonnaise. They can't really be mayonnaise. They have to have a different name because there is a standard of identity for mayonnaise. And mayonnaise must contain egg yolk. Yeah. So, but the mayonnaise industry was one of the first people to figure out that if you freeze egg yolks and then thaw them, they get like thicker, solid, and they can use minuscule amounts of egg yolks. So they don't need that much of it. But how much longer until the mayonnaise people, until Unilever and Hellman / Best Made, which of course is the mayonnaise of note, right? How long until they're like, well, the price of eggs is going up, so the price of mayonnaise has to go up too, even though it's like, though it's like 99% not egg. You know what I mean? That's the question. How long until they gouge us? The same way that, like, you know, we get gouged. As soon as a tariff goes up on something, which is, hey, enjoy. We have no idea what's going to happen to our prices on centrifuges, by the way. Yeah, we just don't know. But, like, everyone raises. It's not like the people who make stuff domestically are like, oh, well, we'll keep our prices low. They raise their price to meet what everyone else's prices is. You know who pays? You. Whoever you are listening. You pay. You. Enjoy. You pay. Anyway. So they didn't catch these egg thieves yet?
No.
You know, eggs last a while. They have a while to sell those things.
They really do, yeah.
Have you noticed that the quality of the eggs you've been getting now are also crappier?
Yes. 100%. Yes.
I just freaking hate a crappy egg where it's just like all thin white.
Yeah.
And like all poppy yolks and thin white.
Yep.
Oh, God.
I think someone joined us on the phone. I'm not sure if it was our friend Quinn or if it's our friend Nastasia.
Who do we got?
It is me.
Hey, Quinn. What's up?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Too bad. I know you were about to go into a steel exporting business from Canada to the U.S., so sorry we threw the kibosh on that. So, enjoy.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, you weasel Canadians with your
Also,
fentanyl, sending us your
strategy.
fentanyl. What? Yeah, okay, what's your strategy?
I have a strategy for everybody out there who is, concerned about egg prices.
Okay, what do you got?
You buy from a bunch of local farmers, and you always pay through the nose. And then, when the regular prices go up, you don't even notice it.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say about that. While I heartily endorse supporting local farmers, I have to say, when I'm going through like just a scat of eggs for like a recipe where I'm baking and I'm just using 8 tons of eggs, which I do because you know what eggs are? Fantastic. You know what I mean? I just can't see spending that kind of money. You know what I mean? Like I want to say that I like, if I'm going to eat a poached egg, I'll be like, you know what? Give me the good egg. You know what I mean? Or like when you go to England and you get the really, really like orangey yolks that are kind of like they look good and they're real nice firm white and they sit up real nice on your toast. I appreciate that. But when I'm just like going through them like they're nothing.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this right before the show, but the fact that Waffle House has added a 50 cent per egg surcharge to all the egg dishes there is crazy.
Yeah,
that's
50
how much the markets have changed.
So if I order like a 3-egg omelet, that's $1.50.
Yep, extra.
Huh.
Egg tax.
Sounds like a bargain, actually.
No, an extra $1.50. I mean, okay.
No, an extra $1.50.
Don't hate. I've never been to a Waffle House.
Whoa.
I've never been to a Waffle House. I'm not saying that I'm anti-Waffle House.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to Waffle House. It's not like they've done something where I'm like, I won't step foot in a Waffle House, but I've just never been in one.
Interesting.
Food good?
Yeah, for what it is.
I mean,
yeah.
How are their waffles? You don't like them?
Have I had a waffle?
They're good. Like they're just.
I'm asking myself.
They're just really soft. So that's why you gotta get some pecans in there.
Are they like an Eggo style? What are they?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eggo style.
All right, so like run of the mill, like middle American waffle.
Yeah, basically. But it's also fun to just watch the whole system happen there and just like experience it. I don't know, like also from your perspective, like watching those line cooks do their thing without any tickets and just how things are positioned on a plate is how they know.
Don't believe in tickets?
They don't do tickets.
Huh.
It's how the server puts a plate for whatever order that is, and based on how they put certain things on the plate is how the line cook knows how to cook something.
I kind of, not that I wish anyone to have a natural disaster, but since they're known for staying open during a natural disaster, I kind of want to be in one of those circumstances as my first time. Have any of you ever been in a Waffle House during a natural disaster?
I have not.
Yeah. I mean, they're known for that. That's like the FEMA actually rates things in terms of whether a Waffle House is open or not, as a indication of how bad things are. Oh, the Waffle House closed. We're toast. Yeah. We're done. Don't even bother sending in the National Guard. If the Waffle House can't open, what's the National Guard going to do? You know what I mean? But anyway, someday I'll get to go.
Yeah.
So if it's not waffles, like what's the money order there?
Eggs and then the hash brown setup.
Hash browns. All right.
Yeah.
What kind of hash browns? Like pucks that are deep fried, or like skillet?
Griddle, like proper hash browns, and then you get them scattered, covered, smothered, and each thing means
covered and smothered.
Boom. There we go.
Yeah, I use that term enough. I should go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the farthest north they have them, you think? Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Next time I'm in Pennsylvania.
There's probably one in around New Orleans, right?
That's not north, dude.
I'm saying. That's the south. And you go to New Orleans every year.
I do go to New Orleans every year, yeah.
The last thing was the duck farm. Crescent Ducks out in Long Island. Fourth generation duck farmers since 1903, 1905. They had to call all 100,000 of their flock and might not be able to reopen because their flock got the avian flu.
They wiped them out?
Yep.
Let me ask you a question. Is there any use for the meat once they have avian flu?
I think it just has to be destroyed.
Huh. So they can't sterilize it somehow and turn it into anything that with any economic value?
No.
I wonder if there's insurance for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That sucks. It's so crappy.
Like force majeure? That's just coming from the sky, right?
I don't know. But like, if you have there's got to be something where people can, what's it called? Spread the risk out amongst all of the, that's what insurance is for, right? Spreading the risk out. We all pay a little bit so that, oh man, I wonder what that's going to do to, how big in the duck industry were they?
For the Northeast, pretty big.
So have you already seen a dent in your price or your supply?
Yeah, it's gone up a little bit. Now I'm getting Bell and Evans duck. I didn't even know they did duck, but yeah.
Yeah, me either. I think of them as a chicken folk.
Yeah, exactly. But duck too.
How are their duck?
Haven't broken into them yet. Just got them in last weekend.
In which style? All pecking, or do they do any moolar? They do any?
I think it's just all pecking. Yeah.
I mean, I like them.
Yeah, I don't know. I do too. But yeah, just unfortunate. I loved Crescent duck. It's great, consistent, nice size.
Well, if you know them and you can help support them, help them in this time, please do, because I hate to see someone go under for something like that.
Yeah.
Be totally beyond their control. Boys. Anyway, all right. All right, Quinn, other than telling people to spend unconscionable amounts of money on eggs, you have anything this week for eating?
Last week, we actually made chicken. We made KFC spiced karaage, which turned out pretty good.
I don't know whether you know this or not, but that's actually impossible because nobody knows KFC's recipe. Do you know that? I met someone that had. Okay, so I'm not allowed to say this, but I believe everyone involved is dead. So, Henny Penny, the pressure fryer for KFC, right? The guy who invented it was a guy named Winston from Winston Industries, who made the CVAP. Last time I talked to the guy, he was in his 90s, and that was like 10 years ago. I'm sure this dude's dead, so I'm not worried about it, right? So he started the CVAP, which is the the first piece of equipment where you literally just set the wet bulb and dry bulb temperature, and it was designed specifically to hold chicken for Colonel Sanders. He was a personal friend of Colonel Sanders, designed for KFC, and then went on to be used all over for all kinds of hot holding, and then for cooking at the dawn of the sous vide revolution, especially because it didn't require putting things in vacuum bags, and you could cook things in CVAPs for long periods of time. And that's why in New York City, they became popular very, very quickly because all of the 4-star, whatever you want to call them, 3 or 4-star restaurants like Jean Georges and all these places, when we were no longer allowed to use vacuum bags in the early 2000s, when the crackdown happened, we all wanted a way to do this kind of low temperature work and keep things going. And so everyone all of a sudden overnight bought CVAPs because of a guy named Howard Richardson. Anyway, Howard Richardson was talking to me during this whole debacle, and he was like, you know, at Winston Industries, in our safe, we have a copy of the Colonel's original herbs and spice recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was like, no way. And then when I was when I was writing for Food Arts Magazine, which was, you know, the magazine, the trade magazine of note, it really kicked some serious butt. It was a great magazine. When I was writing for them back in the day, I wrote that. I quoted him as saying that, and he, you know, because we were a trade magazine and not like, you know, New York Times, we would send things to people to be like, this is what we said, because we weren't in the business of messing with people's business. Like, you can't write that. No one's allowed to know that. But since I'm sure Mr. Winston is dead, and Colonel Sanders is also dead, I'm telling you guys now, it was in that safe there. So where did you get your knockoff recipe for KFC, Clint? I'm sure it wasn't from Winston Industries.
Are you aware of the situation of franchises for KFC outside the States?
I mean, I know they exist. I've been to them.
You know, Colonel Sanders owned international KFCs longer than the, like, American corporate entity while he was still alive. So the Canadian and UK, you know, restaurants were working from a unmodified recipe longer than the modern restaurant. And so in the UK right now, a bunch of restaurants switched from being KFCs to being this sort of other brand from the person that was managing, you know, the UK franchises. And to this day, they still sell a flour blend with the spices built in so that, like, other restaurants can, like, sell the recipe of chicken.
Now, I wonder if they actually give you the real thing. For instance, when you buy Peter Luger's bacon, you know what you are not buying? Peter Luger's bacon. You're not buying the bacon they sell at Peter Luger's. Peter Luger's is like, let these other idiots think that they're having Peter Luger's bacon. Enjoy. You know what I mean? But it's not the same. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm not saying you're wrong, Quinn. I'm saying I don't trust it. Especially something that's so closely held, like such that the franchisees don't compound their own. They don't have a recipe. That stuff's sent to them. You know what I mean? But you're saying that they sell the exact same mix. You're saying they sell the exact same mix to you, Quinn, that they sell to Jimmy Joe Jerk, the franchisee owner.
Well, basically, at some point,
no offense, Jimmy Joe,
those UK franchises stopped, like I don't know how do I describe this. They switched the model, so now they only sell the spiced flour, and on the flour is you can get the ingredient list, but not the ratios.
Yeah, I don't, somehow I just don't. A secret that intense.
It tastes pretty good. It tastes pretty close.
Yeah. I have to say that of all of the, of the 2 fried chicken restaurants that I go to on a semi-regular basis, right? KFC is by far the least consistent in terms of the quality of the product, right? And first of all, are you doing crispy style or are you doing original? Because the original, even though most people don't go for it, is a much softer style. Physically softer, and that's like the one with the original mix. I'm an extra crispy guy.
For extra crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why? Delicious.
Crispy's good.
Yeah. But you know what's even better is Popeyes. Spicy, crispy. That.
Yes.
Like, that is the chicken of note. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. The only thing that makes me angry is that Booker doesn't like it spicy, and so I have to get 50-50 boxes, which is ridiculous. And they won't give you like 30-70 boxes. You know what I mean? And then it's the wing that's spicy, or like the bread. Who cares? Just give me just a box of spicy thighs and call it a day. You know what I mean? You can't walk into Popeyes and just say, give me a box of spicy thighs. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would.
So, when you were doing where you did the double fry technique, Quinn?
No, we didn't double fry this time. It was a bit of a, workflow thing. But next time, again, I need to try.
Well, so in what sense, Kara, then?
Well, I mean, it was marinated small bits of chicken. We did a small amount of a soy ginger marinade, and then we dredge in a flour starch mixture.
Got a double fry. Got a double fry.
Next time.
Double fry. Doesn't take that much longer to double fry. By the way, next time I fry, I'm really getting jazzed up on this no-soak, very long, low-temperature initial oil cook. Super jazzed. The workflow is a lot easier.
Fries?
French fries. Frites.
Okay, yeah.
Frite. Just because... Now, do you know, John, in Belgium land, which, by the way, don't even talk to me if you haven't gone. Seriously, don't tell me about all of your French fry knowledge unless you've gone, because they're just better at it than, I'm not saying that they have that the best French fry maker in the world is from Belgium. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the average run-of-the-mill French fry in Belgium is better than a very good French fry here. Okay? So
the medium Belgian French fry is like the top 90% of America.
Correct. And everywhere else.
Yeah.
So the point of this is that if you want to know how to do it the best, maybe go see how the people who on average are better than everybody else, how they do it. And then see whether there's anything in your technique, as good as it may be, right? Whether there's anything in your technique that might be better served doing something the way that they're doing it. Because, as we all know, there are 8 million ways to fry a potato. There are 8 million ways to skin cats. You choose whatever you want. But there's no one, regardless of what Cooks Illustrated used to say back in the day, there is no one perfect way to do anything. And this is, by the way, when Cooks Illustrated came out in 1993, I believe, I had all the charter issues. Amazing magazine, life-changing, the whole concept. But one thing that always stuck in my craw from the beginning is they would always write in their recipes, the perfect this, the perfect that. And the biggest lie about that is that they would then 2 years later publish another recipe for the same thing that was now perfect, but wasn't it perfect before? And it just goes to show that there's always things to learn and that there's different ways to achieve the same or different but just as good results. So go to Belgium if you care about fries. Just do yourself a favor because you also have a lot of other delicious things you can eat. You could eat the waffles, the speckloos.
Chocolate, beers,
tiny shrimp.
Endless,
the beers alone. Any one of these things. I mean, I don't know that I would go there just for the speckloos. But, other than that... any one of the tiny shrimp. I mean, you eat the tiny shrimp, or the freaking Liège syrup.
Oh yes, the Liège, yeah. The mustard.
What's up with the
mustard?
shrimp? Yeah, the mustard was phenomenal. It's still going.
Yeah.
Wait, what's up with the sea monkeys?
Oh, talk about tiny shrimp again.
So they're these tiny little shrimp crevettes grises. They're, yay big, quarter of an inch. There's actually a Belgian restaurant on the Upper East Side supposedly serving them. I'm so curious as to how expensive those must be.
You want me to go throw a conniption fit there? You want me to go crazy and just shut them down so that it's only you? Only you? No? All right.
Are they wild caught shrimp?
But yeah, wild caught shrimp traditionally.
By hand?
Yes, I used to go fishing for them with my siblings when we were younger. It's this rake net, and you just kind of push it through the low tide sands, and it just collects all the shrimp. And yeah, larger scale is done with the big Clydesdale horses.
It's like po' boys?
No, it's done in little croquettes or cold tossed with mayo stuffed inside a hollowed out tomato.
Really bad tomato. Just a trash can tomato. Just the worst tomato in the world.
the weirdest thing.
But the shrimp are that good.
Yeah.
Nullifies it. Yeah.
Like a 1982 salad bar tomato.
With the kale dressing on the side.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Such a weird dish.
Yeah, a nightmare of a tomato.
Yeah.
Like, you've been thinking about it. I remember it came on the plate. I was like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? But like, they're like, hey, we don't have sunlight. We don't grow tomatoes. So they're like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I guess if you go to in spring, you can do asparagus.
Yeah, true.
They know that stuff
Yeah,
too.
white asparagus, yeah.
All right. What about you, Jack? What do you have in the past week for food and or beverage other than your fake egg-tastrophe?
Like I said, yeah, nothing but eggs. I had these really great drinks at this pop-up in Los Angeles at this place, Night on Earth.
Oh, did that idiot Dave Arnold go?
I think I saw him there. Yeah, he was wearing a piece of a Spinzall decked out as a disco ball.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, I posted it on Instagram. You can go take a look at it. But I go to Night on Earth, and I'm working a shift. First of all, they really do put their money where their mouth is. All of their shaken drinks that aren't pre-diluted, because they pre-dilute most of their shaken things and then like whip them or hit them in a Hamilton Beach. But the ones for the pop-up that we did 4 drinks. We did the Hoja Santa, which is actually not a Contra drink. That was an existing conditions drink where it's Hoja Santa, fresh Hoja Santa leaf, a little bit of cilantro. And Hoja Santa it's used a lot, I think, in like bean dishes and whatnot. Enrique Olvera famously put them in between 2 layers of masa and had like a tortilla you could see the Hoja Santa leaf in. And they look almost like a spade from a deck of cards, but green, right? And they're related to pepper. Like they're a pepper family leaf, right? So that means they're also related to beetle leaves. But unlike beetle leaves, which to me, beetle leaves are the ones that you wrap, put beetle nut in and chew it, or pan, in India. Those to me taste like burning electrical transformers. But Hoja Santa does not taste like a burning electrical transformer to me. To me, Hoja Santa is delicious. So nitro muddle that with tequila and lime juice and orange syrup. So it's a margarita loid with nitro muddled Hoja Santa. So that was one from existing conditions because I didn't want to bother trying to get the fancy Mexican tarragon that we got for our drink here. So I'm sure Mike could have gotten it because it's L.A. Well, dummy. Anyway, so we did that one, and then we did the Firefly, which is and by the way, someone asked a question later about the drinks that we did at the pop-up, but they didn't mention which specific drink. They said, I'll read the question. From Tri-Tip.
I think they were asking about the Saltaire. Yeah.
Well, why would that be the one? It just says, Tri-Tip says, what was the drink of the evening at the Night on Earth event? There seemed to be one on every table. What are the origins to that cocktail and how do you make it? But I don't know which one they're referring to. I mean, they could be referring to the Saltaire. We did the Saltaire, which is a variation came from the Corsair, which was the Corsair is a mixture of tequila, preserved lemon juice, where we just juice preserved lemons along with their brine, salt preserved lemons, lime juice, and simple syrup. But the Corsair is tequila, and we take these super fancy. John, did I tell you this? The umeboshi, we use umeboshi. But it's this Japanese husband and wife team that makes these like fancy shiso umeboshi that are ridiculously expensive. So the umeboshi costs more than the liquor. It costs more than anything else. So the amount, I'm not talking like, I'm talking about in the drink, the amount that's in the drink, the plum is the most expensive portion of it. So we take the umeboshi, we pit them, we do a Justino where we blend and spin in the Spinzall, the plum and tequila. We then soak the pits with Pectinex and tequila, and then we take the puck and we, remouillage it, and then with more tequila, and then we create like 3 streams and add them all together to create this umeboshi tequila, which we then shake with lime juice and simple syrup and serve with a tiny modelito beer. Delicious, pretty cocktail, beautiful. That's a pounder. You can get it at Contra, and we just can't take it off our menu, even though it's such a pain. It's so expensive, but it's like we're using a top shelf, spirit, but we're not. It's just the umeboshi is top shelf. And we tried using a cheaper umeboshi. It's not as good. It's not as good. You know what I mean? It sucks. The other, then we did a Firefly, which is our ginger, turmeric, galangal mule, which is the trick there is just, we juice the turmeric, the ginger, and the galangal fresh, juice them fresh, then cut it 50-50 with vodka, and then add 0.5% of acid to that and Pectinex. And then you just let it sit in a tall cylindrical vessel, and it'll like all the stuff will drop to the bottom, and then you just rack off all the clear stuff on top, and you do that like 2 or 3 times in progressively narrower, taller vessels, and you get fairly high yields. Like you get like 80% yield or something like that. And it's, I think, easier than trying to spin that. And then you add to that gin and, clary lime and or acids, depending on how you're going to do it. Carbonate it. Delicious. Delicious. A little simple syrup. And then what was the last one we did? Oh, I think we did Gwyneth Paltrow's favorite drink from Contra, which is the what's that called? The Sly Stone. So that's a mixture of we did it with wild turkey there, although we use Elijah Craig at the bar. We did a mixture of Blenheim apricots dried, Sufani apricots dried, which are a little like they're sweeter than Blenheims and also like a little less dry than the slab Blenheims that we get, and then fresh frozen peaches. Ustino. A little bit of Hellfire bitters to because not just spice, vinegar as well, because it's a shrub, right? So a little bit of that volatile acidity, a little bit of the spice to round out the fruit flavors, and orange twist. Good night. Done.
Sounds delish.
Man, that's good.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one of those drinks Tri-Tip was referring to, but that's all of them. So anyway, so I show up and we're making these drinks, and then they're like, Mike's like, we got a present that the bar crew made you. I'm like, okay. And it turns out it is a giant necklace. On it is a Spinzall rotor, an actual, not a replica of a Spinzall rotor, an actual Spinzall rotor that they've mounted on a fidget spinner bearing, so that on the necklace it can spin. They then hand glued 1 billion tiny mirrors, including in all the little crevices, such that it became a spinning Spinzall rotor disco ball necklace. Thing was nuts.
It's pretty amazing.
I wore it I like that. I got halfway through the shift. I put it on, and then I wore it the rest of the shift. Unfortunately for the shift, we kicked in like an hour and a half. So we were supposed to be there for 4 hours, but we wiped out all the drinks in an hour and a half. So I apologize to anyone who came late. My bad. Nastasia's like, go to Ralph's, buy some more herbs, and then make a drink. I'm like, no. I was like, normally I would, but
Her idea. Wow.
the problem is that they were unlike when we were at Harvard and Stone and I did that, right? They had a whole nother bar operating, and the bar where I was ostensibly was only normally for the drinks that we were making for the pop-up, right? These guys were doing all of their other drinks, and they had switched over to doing their normal drinks in a normal service. So then I would have had to be like, can you get me this stuff I didn't ask for? Can you bloppity blop? You know what I mean? Can I go in the back and prep biddity bootity boop? And then I would be making it not with my normal technique, but using a technique that I wasn't used to. So I would have put them through all of these hoops. Then to make a drink that hadn't been vetted with their system, and I was just like, nah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nah. I mean, if I thought I could have put out with minimal impact to what they were trying to do with their lives, if I could do that and put out something I knew was top notch, sure. You know what I mean? But I was like, nah. Not just because I'm old and lazy. That is also true, but that's not the reason. Right? I mean, Jack, you were there. Is that accurate pretty much?
Very accurate.
Yeah. We did kick quick, though. Stas and Jack are like, we'll be there by 6. Show up at 6:30. And then Nastasia's just staring at me about why I'm not getting her a glass of sparkling, rosé. I'm like, I'm in the weeds here, man. Come on. Anyway.
Oh, man, do I have a story about that?
All right, what do you got?
It involves... Let's just say Stas was hungry. That's why we were late.
This 100% checks out. You know what? Her entire life she could have eaten beforehand, right?
Well, Well, I don't know. She's probably busy. She had work, but either way, it ended with me having a bite of her hand roll that she got like across the street from some very sketchy looking place.
Well, she took a
She's
bite,
trying to
didn't
sell me
like
a
it, and
dog.
gave it to you? Is that what happened?
Well, yes, and it has to be one of the most disgusting things I've ever. I'm convinced I got sick from it because I did get stomach issues the next day. It was really gnarly and bad.
Well, what do you put in a hand roll that
So-
could be that bad? Like, what do they do?
The fish itself. Well, first of all, it was like it's supposed to be distributed evenly throughout a hand roll. This just had like a big glop of bad tuna like on the top of the hand roll and then nothing else. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of like it's a cone shape. It's just like all the bad tuna up front there.
Like
And
yesterday's poke? All mangled and looking gross?
Yes, mangled and mushy, and it tasted like what I imagine like fish food would taste like. It was really bad. It tasted like an old stale fish tank.
And it wasn't because they put like furikake on top of it that it tasted like fish food.
I could have used a mountain of furikake to get me through that.
By the way, is bad tuna your hot tuna cover band?
Maybe.
Yeah, you got to do that. Now, I don't even think anymore you need to have a real cover band. You could just create it with AI, right? Like, couldn't you relatively quickly just like create a fake hot tuna cover band with AI?
Yeah. Hey Siri, give me Bad Tuna, the album.
Now everybody's you know who is doing that, who's listening to this. Now you've toasted everybody. Do you know that like it can't understand anything I say. So like which is weird, like, you know, it's like every week for the past, you know, billion years we've been going on the podcast talking to people, and yet my phone, presumably people can understand what we're saying because they keep listening. My phone can't understand to the point where like I could be talking to anybody and it thinks I'm talking to it. I'm like, didn't you choose a name that is unlike anything else that people normally say? You know?
I mean, you had problems with this right before starting the show and texting me.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
we saw it. We saw him talking to Siri, which ended up sending a text message to who knows. Maybe that's where it's going.
Yeah, well, I have to pronounce.
No, I know.
I have to pronounce your name like she does, or she won't listen.
No. It's just a.
That's why I like.
And my name's the Nightmare, right?
Oh, your name. I have to say Quinn Fusile, or it won't listen to me. And sometimes I mess up when I'm speaking in the real life what it is
nuclear
because
material.
I say it more to her than I say to any live human, and so like I'm more apt to use the mangled version of your name than the real version of your name because
Yeah, no.
it's that dumb. It's so dumb. You know?
Rough.
Artificial stupidity. All right. Andrew C. writes in, we have a non-alcoholic spirit project at work, and I suggested that the person working on it try galangal as an interesting inclusion. By the way, galangal in general, for those of you that, I mean, do most people know what galangal tastes like? Like if you had to guess what it tastes like on its own. I mean, you've had it if you've been to like Thai restaurants or what. It is, galangal is like turmeric and like ginger. It's related to ginger. It's a ginger ballast, right? Now, you know what I've never had? I've never had the blue ginger. Is that any good? You ever try it? Any of you ever had it?
I have not, no.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, and there's a couple other there's a couple other gingers that I'd really like to try that I've only ever had dried, like sand ginger, which is the one that's used in the you know the salt chicken that like southern China like a Hakka salt chicken recipe that they make a special spice packet for. That's got the sand ginger in it, but I've never seen it fresh. Anyway, there's a zillion gingers that I would love to try before I die. We'll see what happens. But specifically, galangal is, and there's a lesser galangal and there's a greater galangal. Anyway, it has a very, I love it, but if you use too much of it, it can go very detergenty. So just be careful with galangal because it can give a bit of a detergent note. Anyway, and you can buy it frozen. It's not as good. It's not as good frozen. Like when you the frozen galangal that I've gotten, maybe the aroma of it is fine, but it just when it thaws, it gets real spongy. I don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've tried to freeze it at home. Even it doesn't really.
I don't like it.
Really keep that well.
Don't enjoy it.
We have a caller on the phone, but I'm not sure if that might be Nastasia Hammer Lopez.
Stas, is that you or is that somebody else?
Sorry. It's somebody else. Sorry.
Wah, wah.
I'm relieved. I thought I was going to get yelled at for telling the tuna story.
Well,
Well, but if Stas is not, does that mean I can ask as many questions as I want?
I don't know. What do we got? What do you got?
Or will I get smoked from the East Coast? Okay, I got a chicharron question.
Ooh. Okay. Before you start, what style of chicharron? With meat, without
Salmon
meat?
skin.
Just skin?
Just the skin.
Okay.
Okay. Many years ago, I dialed in a process and got really good at making chicharrones or chicharron sort of analog using salmon skin.
Okay.
Part of that process involved steaming it rather than boiling it, because if you steam it, they curl up and there's no saving it from there. I no longer have a combi oven, and I'm curious if you could achieve a similar effect by just baking the salmon skin until it's like gelatinized or cooked or whatever, rather than steaming it.
All right, here's what I would say. No. But even if all you have left on Earth is a home range, right? As long as, do you have gas still?
Right. I still have a commercial kitchen. I just don't have we had a combi oven when I developed this technique,
perf pans.
And I don't have a combi oven anymore.
Go perf pan. Just get like a 4-inch or a 6-inch hotel pan. Then get like
the countertop steamer thing.
Then and a 2-inch perf insert, and then like a steam table lid. And that's what I use for, when I'm steaming potatoes or I'm doing like massive amounts of dumplings and stuff like this. I just use that rig. It fires up real quick. It folds up real small. And you can, like, even if you need to, you can shuffle that crap in with the rest of your hotel pans. I mean, the lid's a little bit of a pain in the butt because the handle doesn't fold in right, but it's so convenient. I mean, like, you don't need the lid. You could just, I'm pretty sure a sheet tray will fit over the top of it, but the lid's nice.
Right.
It's nice to have the lid for the extra $15.
I've actually got a really good steamer rig, because whenever I'm cooking like hard-boiled eggs to make deviled eggs, I steam them rather than boil them because they're easier to peel. So and what that is you can buy these for woks. You can buy like steamer racks. They're like circles that it looks like a rack and it's got feet that fold out. And so I pop one of those in an 18-inch Rondo, which has a nice tight-fitting lid, and that thing can steam like a demon.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, but for salmon skins, I think it'd be better for hotel just because you'd want that big rectangle. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's the problem is, like, I tried to, you can't, because the trick with doing this method is you sandwich the salmon skin between two silpats, two silicone mats.
Right.
And so that keeps it weighed down, keeps it from curling up. Unfortunately, you can only fit a quarter-sized silpat in this steamer rig that I've got. So, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the best alternative would be, and I was really hoping that doing it in the oven would work, but I'll just have to tinker with it. I
mean, I would say like the hotel pan, and then the pain is, I did find you need to get cooling rack inserts that fit nicely into the hotel pan, because you're going to want to probably suspend it off of the holes in the perf. So I would probably do a cooling rack, which might be, I can't remember whether it's easy to get a good size if it's in there, and then the two silpats, like half sheet pats, or you could custom cut out of full sheet so that they fit exactly in the hotel pan, one on top of the other. And I think you'd be good to go. And you could probably triple stack them, right? So you could probably do your silpat layer and then another rack on top of that, and then another layer of silpat. You could probably fit at least 2, maybe 3 into one hotel pan setup, depending on how deep a perf you get. I don't like to get the perf too close to the bottom of the main hotel pan, just because otherwise you get like sputtering up into it, and you need to have enough water in the hotel pan such that it never runs dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for the 8-inch deep hotel pans, which aren't seen very often, but man, I've got those for sous vide cooking and storage and stuff, and those things, everybody's like, hold on, why is that so deep? And I'm like, because it's just awesome like that.
That's crazy. I've never, we don't have, in New York, 6 is the deepest you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can get them on Webstron. That's where I get most of my stuff when I'm buying things. But yeah, I've got third pans that are 8 inches deep and clear plastic. Yeah, I'd look into it, man. It's a game changer.
All right.
Because a sous vide, especially for like sous vide stuff, the current ones on the market, I just have 2 Anovas and one of the Chef Steps. One's the Jewel, but they fit like perfectly. Like if you clip it to the, and you got to take you take the lid and then you take a what do you call it, little saw, a coping saw. You use a coping saw to cut it out, but it literally stands like perfect height for an 8-inch pan, like one of the sous vide machines. So highly recommend it. I'll post a picture on the Discord whenever I get around to doing it. But
yeah, I always do the half Lexans for full Lexans a little big. I always do the half Lexans. But I have to check. How does this size? I'm trying to picture it versus a half Lexan.
So I mean, granted, it's not for high volume use. Some of that stuff, like the third pans, I primarily use third pans or half pans. And I'm not doing super high volume stuff because I just do private chef work. So you're talking about feeding 10 people instead of like 200.
Right.
But I do also have the giant 20-gallon Cambro food storage containers, and I did the similar treatment with the lid where you take a coping saw, just cut out a hole so that it fits the circulator. So I have many sizes. But for something small, especially for like if you're just feeding a couple of people, family of 2, family of 4. They're pretty great because they don't take up a lot of space and they heat up in a matter of minutes.
Yeah,
so,
my standard small is the 7.5 whatever it is liter Cambro with cutout top, like the square cams, and then the half. What's nice about the half Lexans specifically is that quarter sheet cooling racks fit in them, and then you can still fit the circulator behind the quarter sheet racks. So you could have your circulator, and then you could start putting quarter sheet racks in to separate out your products. Because, you know, the trick that, you know, a lot of people when they're starting mess up on is allowing the food to touch each other so that they become effectively much larger pieces of food. You know, that's the first. That's the first mistake. Hey, I wonder if you could bag. I wonder if you could bag your skin and cook it in a bag. Probably not.
I mean, that's kind of ultimately what my question was. Is like, does it have to be a wet method? Because like you can still gelatinize, you know, or like you can get all that gelatin breakdown from dry methods. I mean, you see people that have like a porchetta, like a pork loin that's wrapped in skin that you can get all puffed up, and they're not boiling that. You know, that's something that's done in the dry oven. So
well, there's dry and there's
kind of where
dry.
I was coming from.
When you put it in an oven, it is getting drier and drier every second, right? And then there is there enough moisture in the product to gelatinize itself? Two different things.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the insight. I got to go serve lunch to some folks.
All right, let us know.
But thank you.
I bet. All right, back to Andrew C's question. Okay, so by the way, for those of you that don't remember, we're talking about galangal in non-alcoholic drinks. I suggested the person try galangal. They ended up running a blended slurry in water on a gyrovap, which is kind of like a rotovap-y situation, but it doesn't rotate. It's kind of like, you know, a distillation rig that's under vacuum-ish, right? Okay. Anyway, and the resulting distillate was interesting. Notes of eucalyptus, pine, menthol, and reminded me of Carrot Tops. Presumably Carrot Tops, the vegetable, and not Carrot Tops, the crazy bodybuilding comedian. But the remaining spent slurry was more interesting. It had very little flavor, but all the gingery galangal burned. Have you experienced this, and do you have any ideas on how to clean it up further? Will it distill at a higher temperature, or is centrifugation with ginger clarification method the way to go? So here's the problem. Also, you say, I found out that the temperature of the distillation meant that the lees produced were pretty unsafe to consume. Glad we didn't get botulism, but got to figure out a way to make that food safe. I mean, it depends on how long you were distilling it. I mean, it's under vacuum, and it's, you know, quote unquote, in the danger zone because it's not because you're doing vacuum distillation. But I don't think it's going to be distilling long enough usually for you to. I wouldn't worry about it, and then I really wouldn't worry about the botulism in it too much. Especially, you can just increase the acidity of it. You could just dope it with acid if you want, and then there's not enough. Then the acidity will be too high for it to have botulism growing in it. Especially if you use a non-sour acidifier, like for instance, sodium bisulfite. Or 8. I got to look it up again. The one that is sulfuric acid with one of the hydrogens gone. Okay, so the problem you're going to have is this. There is no way to clarify that I know of. There is no way to clarify a ginger style product, so ginger, turmeric, or galangal, without alcohol that preserves the burn. So if you want the burn to stay in it, you have to use it in a cloudy or non-clarified situation. Now you can get rid of some of the solids, but if you fully clarify it, it just wipes out the burn. Because I think it's like whatever principle is making it cloudy is not fully soluble in water, and so when you remove the suspended stuff, you remove the burn. Unfortunately.
Do you think propylene glycol would be worth a shot as an alternative solvent?
I have not tested it, but it's not. I'm not going to say that it's impossible because I have not tested it. I mean, if someone else would test it for me and let me know, that would make me happy. But I've tested different levels of alcohol, and the sweet spot seems to be about 50-50 with vodka, so it ends up being about 20% alcohol. I did it where it was a lot higher alcohol, and it didn't help. And the lower alcohol one, I needed to use a lot more of the product, so the yield didn't seem as high, so it didn't seem as effective. So, but if you could try it with propylene glycol, I mean, try it. Or I would try glycerin. Glycerin, I don't know. I've never used propylene glycol as a solvent. I mean, it's antifreeze. Wouldn't want to. I use it as an antifreeze. I wouldn't, and it's not food unsafe. But I would try glycerin probably. Why propylene glycol?
Just when Darcy's content when he's talking about ethanol alternatives for extractions, he recommends USP grade propylene glycol.
Yeah. A lot of these things also depends on how much you're going to use, right? So, typically when you're doing ginger, you're not using it by the drop. And glycerites and probably things that are using propylene glycol are things that you want to use in relatively small amounts. So you need to have something that is so strong that because no one's being like, I'm going to drink a cup of propylene glycol today. That's just not how it works. You know what I mean? So it's just a question of whereas people don't mind drinking, a relatively large quantity of vodka, like an ounce. You know what I mean? Something like that. If you drink alcohol, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so anyway.
Or if it was about getting it, if it was about getting the final product under that really minimum threshold, I wonder if you could use a combination of solvents.
I don't know.
And then the final drink would still be under the.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me nervous. And also, like I say, you want maximum burn. So the question is really I would just not try to use it in a clarified situation because I just don't think you're going to get what you want in a non-alc drink. Simon B., what are the biggest trends in cocktails that are breaking through with the public right now? Simon, that's I don't know. You know what the biggest trend is? Going to Contra. Go to Bar Contra. That's the biggest trend. The second biggest trend is going to Temperance Bar.
That's right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Those are the two biggest trends in drinks right now. And I'd say the third biggest trend is going to Night on Earth in Los Angeles. That's the third biggest trend. Those are the biggest trends in cocktails right now. I don't know. I'll think more about that. We'll get back to it when I have more time because we only have 6 minutes left. And I could probably spout about that forever. Wenrick, I have a whole beef heart from a cow share and haven't cooked it before. Seems like high heat skewers are a popular use, but can you share any favorite ways to cook it? Wenrick, I don't cook a lot of beef heart. Captain Beefheart I like.
Oh, I do.
You do? All right. What do you listen to Captain Beefheart?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So what's your beef heart? My favorite heart is chicken heart. My second favorite heart is duck heart.
Oh, agreed on both fronts.
Yeah. And those things, high heat on skewer, marinate those suckers with oil and salt and pepper and garlic, maybe a little bit of acid. You know what I mean? Marinate those suckers.
Oh, yeah.
Put them on a skewer. High heat, off on, until the outside gets crunchy, inside delicious. And that's dinner right there. Maybe some parsley over the top of that.
That's exactly what I would do with the beef heart. Yeah.
But I've never done beef heart. Anyway, go ahead, Quinn. What do you got?
Well, I say, I would try and, when you're butchering the heart down to remove all the connective tissue and the bigger blood vessels, try and preserve it in, for me, as big chunks as possible. And then I'll do a rare sous vide and a hot finish, or straight tartare, or sometimes I like doing a really, really hard sear, and then it is raw in the middle, and then you just chop that whole thing up and dress it like tartare.
I've never done hard tartare.
But you got some charred
I like
bits.
it, yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Never done hard tartare. I'm a big fan of off on, off on, off on.
Yeah.
I believe historically it was one of like the choice pieces to make tartare, if memory serves.
Because it's low in fat?
That's just because, I mean, to me, it's like a denser, firmer tenderloin with like more flavor.
I don't know about that. Again, but I'll defer to you. I don't cook a lot of beef heart. But you got to go listen to Captain Beefheart. Actually, you probably won't like it. But you like Captain Beefheart, right, Joe?
Of course I do.
What about you, Jack? Is that in your wheelhouse or not?
Totally.
Yeah, come on.
All right.
Got to. I'm sad that that twin doesn't know who he is.
He doesn't listen to that kind of stuff. 'Cause, you
I
know.
don't really listen to much music at all, so.
Yeah, but it's called
As
Beefheart.
a non-music guy, Captain Beefheart's that's a tough ask. Even music people sometimes have trouble with him.
Yeah, he's kind of like the harder to listen to Zappa.
I was just gonna say Zappa, like burnt weenie sandwich. That's a hard record to listen to.
It is.
All right. Robert Johnson writes in, I work in an Italian restaurant at high altitude, and we have a lot of problems with oxidation of our pasta dough. Before anyone starts, it's an egg dough. So it's egg dough. I don't know if it's because of different ingredients or because of the altitude, but using the same flour and recipe, our dough goes brown and speckly about 4 times quicker than normal. Do you know if the altitude would have any effect on this? It's very dry up here, and the pasta dries quickly when rolled. We make fresh dough and roll pasta out every day, but even making the dough in the morning, it's starting to discolor by the evening service. I'm not sure why altitude or humidity would make a difference, but struggling to think of any other factor that's different to usual. The only other change I can come up with is that I'm in France, where I believe the eggs are pasteurized before sale. I don't really think I don't think it's going to do anything. And normally work in England where they are not. If it's relevant, we make a rich person's pasta dough with 00, although weird, not Durham, egg yolk, and I can say the egg yolk, and a little olive oil, no egg white or other ingredients. Thanks. So you say it's brown, though. So typical egg pasta discoloration is kind of gray, greenish gray, and it happens after a while. It's definitely got to have something to do with your high altitude, which is going to cause a flashing of moisture. And I'm wondering if it's just, like what I would do, Robert, is post to the Discord, because we have a bunch of people that do pasta, right? I would post pictures of the discoloration. If it's oxidation, right, then it's oxidation. But I don't know whether or not the oxidation is going to be enhanced by the fact that it's drying out so quickly because you're at altitude and the moisture is just going to be leaving it like a mother. But I don't really know. You guys got anything?
I don't know. I had this kind of issue, but it ended up being the eggs. I switched to eggs, and then my problem went away. But
You could try adding an antioxidant to it and see whether or not that helps.
Yeah, and also just like throw a sheet of dough into a vacuum bag and see if it stays.
Yeah, but that's also going to stop it from evaporating. So it's like if it depends, like it's not going to, like that's like you'd have to. I would get some vitamin E maybe and see whether or not vitamin E wouldn't that be the antioxidant to choose for a pasta dough like that?
I'll defer to you.
No, that's for lipid oxidation.
People use a little bit of ascorbic acid in
you could add
all
that
the time,
too.
so
Yeah. But it depends on what you're doing. So like vitamin E is going to help with lipid oxidation, and like things like vitamin C is going to help with like other kinds of water-based oxidation. So I don't know which one is happening here. Tony says, I just bought way too many kefir lime leaves to use in the Thai soup I'm making today. Is it worth my time to dry them, or should I suffer buying fresh leaves again? Yeah, just freeze them though.
Freeze them.
Yeah, just freeze them. Lucas H. Hey, I have an issue that's been discussed a great deal, but I can't find an answer. What's the best way to store vermouth so it will not oxidize and degrade? I don't have liquid nitrogen. Just get small bottles, glass, preferably. And if you need to use plastic, you can. But if you're in England, you're in luck because they have better vapor barrier plastic bottles. But get small glass bottles, fill them almost all the way to the top, so that there's no oxygen. Cap them. If you don't fill them all the way to the top, if you're going to freeze them because they could explode. But if you use glass, you can like judge it and you get them and you put them in. That's the way to do it. And then open one and use it quickly. And frankly, just drink more vermouth, and then it's not going to be a problem. Nick, I'm going to give you the recipe for the tomato BS next time. I have no problem giving it to you. But oh man, we're out of time. Sorry, Matt from Mystic. I'll get your question on Mucor aging, and Tony will talk about skate wings and whether or not they're actually used as scallop substitutes. Joe, can I say this? Skate wings, so it used to be said in the 1960s and 70s that skate wings, they're trash fish, so people would throw them away and they would punch scallops out of them and sell them as fake scallops. Now, this is in a time when maybe a lot of people hadn't had fresh scallops. Like, fake scallops aren't made that way anymore. Fake scallops are made like surimi, and they look fake and they don't taste like scallops because they're not scallops. I mean, a scallop is a scallop and they're delicious. But skate wings are delicious on their own, shouldn't be a substitute anything. And the easiest way to buy them, hopefully by already taken care of by your fishmonger, such that they've gotten rid of the cartilage, and they just look like wings, like angel's wings. And all you got to do, they're the easiest things on earth to cook, easiest things in the world to cook.
So forgiving.
Just salt, pepper. I add a little bit of sugar, but that's me. Then flour, butter and or oil, whatever your mix is. Flip. Put the butter over the top, and serve that with a little lemon, and you're done. You can hammer it. It doesn't matter. Don't undercook skate, but like you can hammer it. It's not going to go nasty on you, and skate is delicious and so good. Cooking issues.